All right, everybody, welcome to our special edition Sunday show, as we're going to be talking to my wonderful friends from the Irish Bigfoot Research Organization about their research into the European Bigfoot over there in Ireland. And we're going to have a fantastic time. Of course, we're going to explore how they all got into it, what their research has been up to this point, how they all kind of coalesced into this phenomenal group, and more, including their third installment in their documentary series, Walking with the Wild Man. And I'm talking about the European Bigfoot, which is now available on Amazon Prime Video, and you can check it out. And just to give you an idea of what I'm talking about, we're going to check out the trailer now. Buckle up. We're going in. The biggest Bigfoot documentary film is now available on Amazon. Bigfoot. Only one name of hundreds the world over. Its echoes can be found in histories and legends around the globe. Those echoes carry still, even until today. The stories persist of large bipedal hairy men that still walk among the shadows of our world, encountered by chance, largely by those who are unprepared. This is the journey of the Irish Bigfoot Research Organization to find and document the European Bigfoot. Wow. It still gives me chills every time I see it, and I've seen it hundreds of times. It's just such a well done a trailer to give you an idea of what's going on here and the work that these guys are doing. But without further ado, let's welcome two of our guests. Jim Bradley and Ron Madden are joining us right now via Skype. And of course, Chris will be joining us in just a little bit. He's out on location and is going to bring us along with him to where he's at. So welcome, Jim and Ron. How you guys doing today?
Oh, good, Brent. Thanks very much for the opportunity to come back on the show. Big fan, and always listen to it every week, sometimes twice a week. It depends when your shows come up. But yeah, it's a great opportunity to be back with and talk to you guys again.
Oh, thank you. And Ron, welcome, brother. How's everything for you?
All good, thank you. Good to be back here.
Yeah, it's good to have you guys back. And again, Chris will be joining us in a little bit. But this is an incredible documentary. It was an amazing honor to be a part of it in terms of narrating it. But you guys, I mean, you're really getting out there and pushing the sticks and pushing the limits. And I just think what you guys have done is phenomenal, because I think in the world of the Bigfoot community, not a lot of recognition gets given to the European Bigfoots. Of course, it's talked about in the Americas and in Australia and China, Russia, and so many other areas. But I think it's probably not as actively pursued in your neck of the woods. Wouldn't you guys agree?
Yeah, it's definitely not talked about. You can see it in history here in the old churches, more so, especially in the UK. You can see all the there's actual carvings in the churches of what looks like a Bigfoot or a wild man, going back like 1,000 years ago, going way back in history. There's also tapestries and stories going way back. But yeah, there's not many people, I don't think, how do you say, pursuing what we are. It's more of an American thing, and maybe in Russia and stuff like that. But it's very quiet here, I believe, in in Europe.
Mm-hmm. What do you think of that, Ron? Do you think that your neck of the woods deserves more interest or more activity as far as people looking for this elusive beings?
Yeah, we've had a few interesting messages from people in Ireland with their experiences, even up to the last couple of months. Just spanning over, say, my time with the guys, which is 3 or 4 years now. And every month and a half, 2 months, we have people coming in with their stories that they can't explain. And if they didn't tell you where the story was, you'd imagine it was from North America. Same stories every time, same experiences.
Yeah, it's very powerful. There's so much going on now. If we could take a little bit of time here and kind of introduce each of you, and how did you get involved with this? Jim, would you mind starting out?
Yeah, it was many years ago when I was very young. I do remember seeing the Patterson-Gimlin clip on TV. Of course, it was all black and white them days, but yeah, it was that stuck in my head for a long time. And then we went forward. I ended up, would you believe, the Finding Bigfoot show was a big influence on me over here. It recapped and rekindled my interest. And it sort of took off from there. I met up with Chris online. We got together and we started to go out together and check. And Chris has a vast knowledge of old stories and stuff like that, going way back. People telling him stories and sharing stories. But from there on, we've taken off. This is our third documentary. It's been a roller coaster ride. We've had so many stories. We have so many of our own personal encounters that we shall be going into later on. But it was amazing. It's just amazing.
Yeah, it's incredible. And Ron, how did this journey start for you?
When I was younger, I had seen the Memorial Day footage, which is it the Pate footage, or do you call it PAF footage?
Yeah,
You ever-
where it's running where it's running
Basically,
along the hillside.
the one across the ridge, yeah.
Yeah. Yep.
I had seen that, and I think it was on Discovery or somewhere, and they actually did a remaking of it, and they actually brought in an athlete to try to run that distance and see the time, and could he cover the ground in the same time, and he couldn't.
Mm-hmm.
So that, straight away for me, that's a practical thing that you could see. So that kind of opened my eyes to what could that be. So it was in the back of my mind for a few years. And my younger guys then started watching, my two sons started watching Finding Bigfoot.
Mm-hmm.
And they were only like 10 and 13 at the time. So obviously I'd sit in and watch it with them. So that kind of got me interested again. And I got more interested then in what was seen in the British Isles, say with their Bigfoot experiences and stories. And one of the people over there that I got in contact with actually put me onto the guys here. So that's how I got in contact with Chris and Jim. And they showed me footage of their first documentary and what they had found and witnessed. And I was sucked in from there then after that. So the 4 years I've been like constantly going podcasts, watching footage, listening to people's experiences, like, so it's constantly on the go.
Mm-hmm. It is amazing to me, that finding Bigfoot for a lot of people was a gateway drug into the Bigfoot world. It's like it was seeing that, and I think that of course a lot of people really cast a lot of aspersions at finding Bigfoot, but honest to God, I think we're having this discussion, and many people are having this discussion because of the introduction through Finding Bigfoot. They did a lot of, I think, good for the community in terms of raising awareness and making the discussion okay. That it wasn't as uncommon, and as people watched, they could see, God, there's really a big interest in this. It's not just a few people here and there, or these odd ducks. It was, everybody, doctors, lawyers, professionals, everyday working people. It was just this whole cross section of society was interested and had stories to tell. And it really raised a lot of awareness. So it's interesting that both of you had that similar experience. And that was honestly part of my draw to get into this as well, into the Bigfoot awareness and looking into the phenomena. But were you guys independently researching, or have you only actively researched with this team?
Myself, I was a little bit, I tell the truth, I was an armchair researcher for many years, till I met up with Chris, and then start Googling and getting stories from here. Once I found out and realized that, hey, it's happening here as well, and has been for hundreds of years, is when myself and Chris got together, we started researching together, and we decided after about a year that we need to document this, and that's what we've been doing since.
Yeah, and for you, Ron, you had kind of mentioned that you were interested, but then got in contact with the guys. Was that your first forays out into actually actively researching?
Yeah, as soon as I started gathering more information, I started venturing out myself, and in my experience, it's kind of been a whirlwind because everything happened so quickly. Like in the space of time that I got to speak with the guys, and I started going out myself and actually looking for things. I started listening to podcasts, see what people found, and I'd say within 3 months, I'd say I was actually on location with the guys. Within 3 months of really delving into things, and I had my first experience as well, and that was within 3 months.
Wow. That's kind of a baptism by fire. Yeah.
Yeah.
So speaking of your experiences, you guys do have had experiences of your own.
Yeah. There was I think it was Ron's first day actually filming with us on the part 2 of the documentary, when we brought him up to do an independent review on the eye shine that was caught behind me. That we were filming away, and we had a lot of gear with us, and we sent Ron and the cameraman back to the vehicles to offload some gear. And when they were coming back, the boys were about, I'd say, 50, 60 yards from us, and I put up my hand straight away because we had tree knocks very close to us, and then we couldn't believe we got this scream or howl. It went on for about 10 seconds, and Ron would tell you, it was nothing I ever heard before. Made the hair stand up on my back and on my arms. It was phenomenal what we heard. I think Ron can tell. I had my hand up and I said stop to the guys. I was down on my knee and we listened to it, and that was the first time. It was amazing. Ron can verify that. I think, Ron, when you come down, you and the cameraman heard that clearly.
Yeah, we were up in a higher elevation than you as you walk down towards that bog area. And put your hand up, because we were chatting coming down. I had just met the cameraman for the first time, so we were kind of getting acquainted together. And when you said stop and put your hand up, I don't know what you call it. It was like a big, deep kind of a whale just came over. And for a second, I thought it was like a donkey or an ass, because it had that kind of a sound, but a donkey or an ass would only roar for a few seconds. Like, this carried on. Like, you say 10 seconds, it felt like forever for me, because I'd be fairly in tune with nature and what's in our natural habitat around, and it was nothing at all like I'd ever heard in my life. And
it came from the bog itself, so it wouldn't have been inside the bog itself, you know.
I know there's that area, I think there's a farm off somewhere, so my initial thought was that must be a donkey, but when it carried on, I was like, that's not a donkey. And the strength of the sound of it was unbelievable. And obviously straight away you froze. Like, you were sitting down, I think you had started your break, you were eating sandwiches and coffee, so there wasn't even a camera rolling or anything like that. You couldn't catch anything like that. Yeah, that was like...
It was just unfortunate that we were having a break. Everything was switched off, and it's Murphy's Law. When everything was off, the action happened, you know, and what can you do?
Right. Yeah, it's got to be really intense. I mean, it's one thing to sit in the comfort of the studio and listen to things like howls and knocks and other signs like that, but I imagine in person it brings a whole different kind of gravity, because whatever is doing that is somewhere around you, and it seems to be very aware of your presence there. That's got to be intimidating, yeah?
Yeah, it was amazing. Just going from that to the first documentary where myself and Chris, where it was just myself and Chris at that time, we went to this area where there was snow on the ground. It was just the very top of the mountain peak where there was snow. And we said, we'll chance going up there looking for prints. Mm-hmm. And when we got to the top, we found prints. I think you've seen them, Brent. Mm-hmm. Ron has seen them there. Any folks that have watched part 1 have seen them. And Chris measured them, and they measured 22 or 23 inches in length.
Oh my God. That's enormous.
So,
what I was told when I sent those pictures of prints to someone was that you have to allow for a small bit of melt in snow when it's pressed on. Mm-hmm. So like 22 inches, you could knock 4 inches off it.
That's still a monster print, though. Yeah,
that's still big. Like, I look at it from a realistic point of view. Mm-hmm. You know, the cynic in the guys, like, you know. So I have to look at it from a realistic point of view, just for my own head.
Yeah.
So, but you have to allow it for a few inches of snow melt there. But at the time, it was freezing cold. There was nobody walking up there with a size 16 barefoot.
Yeah.
At the time, they got the pictures, like, they sent them to me. That's my view on it, like.
Right. That's incredible. Is Chris ready? Do you know?
He didn't message me yet, so
Okay.
he should be.
Because we
I'd
do.
imagine.
Do you think I should give him a holler just to see?
Yeah, I'd say so.
Okay. We do have a couple questions from chat. And while I'm trying to connect from Chris, the first one is coming from Android, one of our mods. He says, have they noticed any geographical patterns in sightings in Europe?
I'll let Ron answer that one.
What I work with a few Europeans in my job, and when I look at videos throughout Europe, say down around Slovakia, Poland, and places like that, there is a mountain region and a forest region that runs across the belt of Europe. I don't know the name of it off my head currently, but it runs along there, and I think it starts near Romania, and it comes across Poland and over. And like what could be seen over there, I've seen video footage. There's an old one there of this couple down kind of sunbathing, and they're at the base of a river, and the girlfriend spots something across the way, or the boyfriend is recording. She's in sunbathing, she spots a big figure across, and it looks like it's 9 or 10 feet tall, judging on what I'm looking at, and it's kind of auburn hair. It's really big, like, and that was in southern Poland, I think, which hits that region as well. So, like, all right across Europe, I've heard reports in Germany, far up into Sweden. One report from Spain, which is unusual. Now, they have ancient reports there of a wild man down there. The name is in Spanish. Don't ask me what it is. But you can go across a lot of countries, like northern Italy. You have, like, you're hitting the Alps, going up into Austria, Switzerland. A lot of mountainous regions there, and reports coming out of there too. You know, so there is reports to Europe, but you just don't hear them unless you go looking for them. Really.
Yeah. That's something that's always amazed me, is that there does seem to be a global consistency to their patterns, even though they're geologically separated by thousands of miles. It's still the Yowie behaves like the Yeren behaves like the Bigfoot, Sasquatch, Grassman, Skunk Ape behaves like the Wild Man or the Woodwose. I mean, there's such consistencies in this, and that really does baffle me, because you would think that they would become, and I'm sure there's some distinctions between them, but they're just the large form behavioral patterns are very consistent across the globe. And I find that really, really fascinating. We got another question in here. Let me get to it. It's from Steve Humphrey, and he says, what does the I.B.R.O. think of Todd Standing's 4K videos of Sasquatch? And do you guys have an opinion of that? Are you familiar with the videos?
Yeah. We're 50-50 on it.
Okay.
Yeah.
Go on, I'll let Jim talk first.
Yeah, I've been researching it a bit. Some of it, it's as Ron said, it's 50-50. Is it or isn't it? It's a difficult one, but people are saying that it's not. Some people say it is, but
Sure.
I believe that more people are saying that it is not.
Okay. Now, I think Chris is with us, but I don't see him on camera. So I'm Chris, are you there?
Yeah, I'm here. Yeah. Can you not see me? No.
No, we got no camera right now, brother. So
No.
how's things out in the sticks there? Here you come. Looks like your image is going to be coming here. It's very. Oh, there we go. There we go.
There we go. Sorry, I haven't actually used Skype in about 2 years, so everything has just came like it's brand new. So I'd actually had to turn my camera back on again there. So
Sure.
it was disallowed or something like that. So, but yeah, I'm out in Bracky Bog actually. We came here and part one of the documentary that Jim and the boys were talking about earlier.
Mm-hmm.
I have actually just been stationary here, and I've kept all my lights and stuff off. I have heard a few little noises, but could be animals, obviously, of any kind. But it's certainly it's quiet. It's quiet. It's cold.
I'll bet.
And yeah, it's cold. But the main thing is it's quiet, and that helps us because there's no wind or nothing. One thing I hate about squatching sometimes, if you're out on a windy night or a night where it's raining, it makes it very difficult for us to determine what's coming from the woods or what noises we can hear from the woods. But a night like tonight is perfect for it. Can you guys actually see me, or just see a light? Is that all you can see? A light? Is it?
Sometimes we can see you when your camera's lower and off of the frame. If from that's a little better. Yeah.
Is that good?
That's
No,
not great.
That better.
No, that's worse. Now we're just seeing the light.
That better.
Yeah, I can see that you're there. You're just kind of a ghostly figure, which fits fine for the show.
Buka.
There, yeah. When you hold your phone up towards you, I think it illuminates your face better, if that's possible. Or
Let me see.
Yeah, we'll get you. But it's
I'm trying to aim this other light here at
there you go.
myself a bit.
Yeah, we can see half your face now. That's a little better.
Like a half moon.
We got half Dawson here.
Yeah.
So, Chris, we were talking to the guys initially about what actually got them into this pursuit, into this journey. And what was your genesis into all of this? How did you decide that you wanted to start looking and trying to substantiate some evidence of this being?
Well, like Jim there, I was a fascinated by anything and all those sort of strange creatures, ghosts, UFOs, all those things from a very, very young age. And Bigfoot was one of the ones that stood out for me. Going right back to the late 70s, I think my dad showed me the Legend of Boggy Creek, whatever it was, and I was hooked from then. It terrified me, of course, as a child, but obviously I was hooked from then. And back in those days, there was no internet, so we all had books on it. We had, different encyclopedias and all those sorts of things. But it eventually led, till the advent of mass documentaries on TV about the subject, and then obviously you were watching all those back to back, like people binge watch Netflix these days. I was binge watching on VHS back in those days.
Sure.
And that eventually led, to me hearing of a few stories. Before that, even I was quite aware of the European Bigfoot. You know what I mean? There was no secret out there about a European Bigfoot, but I was convinced that was taken in like Russia and Scandinavia, maybe parts of Spain, France, Italy, Switzerland, like Ron and the guys talked about there. Germany, the eastern Germany with the woods, Poland, all those places, the stories of the Wood-Owaza. But it came to light that there was reports in the UK, in Ireland as well. And to be honest, like maybe some of your viewers here, I actually found that very hard to believe. For obvious reasons, like most people would say, well, we're only islands and things like that. But, we have to realize that we're pretty big islands. You know what I mean? We're not a little tiny island offshore. You know what I mean? Or the UK is 550 miles long.
Okay.
Great Britain, that is, and Ireland is 360 maybe. I think it is miles long. So I mean, we're not little tiny islands. We're pretty huge.
Yeah.
And I think, obviously we're not as big as maybe Madagascar or some of those places, but I mean, we are pretty big, and we do have a lot of barren land, and basically, it boiled down from my childhood up until eventually hearing about stories here, and even a few years back before I met the two boys, I was doing a little bit myself, because I sort of said to myself, well, I'm not going to find out if it's the case by sitting at home. So
Right.
I got out in the woods and dug deep, and I did start to find evidence, but it wasn't really until about 2018 where I started to have my own encounters then, you know.
And what were those encounters, if you don't mind me asking?
Excuse me. The very first encounter was actually here, where I am. It's maybe about half a mile or a mile, to the south from here, and I was heading out that night. I'd been in the bog for maybe a few hours and didn't hear a dicky board, as it happens. But I actually got to about maybe, I suppose, 500 or 600 yards from the car, and heard movement on my right. Thought maybe a fox or a badger or whatever the case was, and all of a sudden heard like chatter.
Mm-hmm.
So I says, well, okay, that's not a fox, so, or a badger, so maybe it's some bunch of drunks or whatever, druggies, and doing what they like doing. But very quickly, that was proven wrong again, because on my left I heard a large grunt, and then large footsteps, immediately, very heavy in the water. This is a bog, so in America that's a swamp, right?
Mm-hmm. Okay. Yep.
During wintertime, the bog in here can be up to 4 or 5 meters deep.
Oh wow.
In certain parts, but in most areas it's probably about 3 feet or whatever, just your sort of average. And that winter was particularly cold, so it would have been about 3 feet deep roughly.
Wow.
But on my left, whatever was walking through the water with ease. Now, if that was a human being, you would have heard sort of the water being pushed at the front of the leg. So, because you'd have 3 feet of water, that's going to be up to your belly button, isn't it?
Yep.
You know what I mean? So if a human's walking through that, they're going to have to wade through that.
Right.
So you're going to hear the shh of the water moving. This thing didn't do that. You just heard the splashes of the footsteps.
Wow.
Just like you walking on the puddles. So I said to myself, right, okay, this is not people. So immediately, the things on the right hand side concerned me, because there's actually was talking there, and I didn't know what was going on. To be honest, I didn't know whether I was going to be, like, came out from both sides or whatever. But lucky enough, the ones on the right, yes, they must have. It was my thoughts that they were obviously the family of Bigfoot. Daddy was on the left trying to protect them, and it all went quiet on the right, which cemented my belief in that. And this guy actually followed me out right to 50 yards from the car. And I just about got to about my car, probably about 3 car lengths from my car. I thought maybe, oh, good, I'm near the road, I'm going to be okay.
Mm-hmm.
And all of a sudden, I heard this swoosh coming through the air, and past me and blunk right beside me, and it was like a log, the size of a railroad sleeper, landed right beside me.
Oh no! Wow.
So whether he deliberately tried to hit me or he deliberately missed me, who knows? But definitely, there was no way a man could throw that. I didn't see anything. Didn't see one thing. It's just all sound, and obviously the log that came towards me. I didn't see anything. Had no eye glow, nothing like that. But certainly enough audio to cement my belief that there's definitely something going on.
Right.
And everything sort of ballooned from then on.
Right. Wow. Yeah, that's enough to get you. I mean, I got to give you credit, because that would be incredibly intimidating to have a log thrown at you. I mean, that's like get out or I won't miss next time. And yet you're still out there doing it and still looking. So I got to commend that determination, because I don't know. You guys are cut from a different metal than I am. I'm okay here in the studio. But we have a question in the chat, and this is from Chucky. Chucky Danger, Chucky Danger says, can you ask if they have any idea what these Irish Bigfoot might be hunting or foraging on? And I don't know who wants to field that, or if you all do.
We have an abundance of deer in Ireland, surprisingly. Jim is an avid hunter. A good friend of mine is an avid hunter. And he basically told me within 4 kilometers of where I live, there is an abundance of deer in the forest. I've walked the woods with my dogs before and never see them because I'm probably always making noise. But since I was made aware, I've actually walked through the woods, stopped, waited, and watched. And lo and behold, loads of deer.
Wow.
They're all over the country, like.
Yeah.
So that's
We've
an easy.
no natural predator here that can take out the deer. So the biggest predator we have here is probably a fox. So they have no natural predator here to keep the numbers of deer down. It's just down basically to the deer hunters. So at the moment we have parts of the country which are being overrun with deer, and there's talk of the government bringing in a cull to dispatch vast numbers of deer. So they're jumping out on the front of cars on the road, and people have gotten car wrecks and stuff like that. So, and I've seen it myself. There's no natural predator, and they're decimating the woods and the forest. They're eating all the ground shoots and all the stuff that naturally grows on the ground, leaving the forest bare. So there's talk about this year actually bringing in culls for them. So we'll have to see how that one goes.
Wow. Now
We do have cases of wild cats spotted, like black panthers and stuff, exotic cats.
Mm-hmm.
So we have cases of them, but not enough to sustain keeping the deer population low. But there is cases of them, but in general, there's no predator.
Have you guys, speaking in terms of that, have you guys ever found what looks like a kill site where a deer has been taken down, or bones or some such things?
I have an unusual case of one, which is not too far from where I live. One of my friends was a hunter. He messaged me one day. He said, I'm after coming across a deer carcass that's up in the hills. He said, there's no sign of it being killed, so it wasn't shot or it wasn't hit with a car, but its belly was cut with a clean incision and all the soft tissue was taken out.
Oh, wow. Okay. Yeah, that's pretty creepy.
There is one, I'd say, official report of a suspected dogman in that area from 2009, I think.
Wow.
In that section of the woods. That's in North Tipperary. It's about 40 minutes drive from me. But this is a guy that told me independently. He said he's never seen anything like it. He's hunting over 20 years. He's never seen a deer carcass like that.
Yeah. Yeah.
We also, Brent, got during filming of part 2, I actually came and stumbled across a dead sheep carcass,
yes,
which was fairly half eaten, So, but that was basically it. We didn't hang around there too much, but that was where we was notorious for big cat country, that were in that area. So we just took it for granted that it was big cats.
Mm-hmm.
So
that's amazing. We got another question in the chat. What are some special names of old used in Ireland for Sasquatch? And can you guys bring us up to speed on those?
Chris?
Yeah, well, but just before I answer that, guys, you guys don't know how to switch my camera view on Skype, though, because I want to show you guys the woods.
Let me just see if I can do this. Let's go to this. Okay, now I'm on speaker view, so whoever speaks will be the biggest camera. Are you there?
Is that maybe it? No, it's not. No. No, I'm just trying to actually flip my screen around. Did you know the way if you're on Facebook or whatever, there's a little picture of a camera, and you can sort of swap it around to change your angle, so you can see the front shot of my phone rather than the
face. Yeah.
Rather than me. Yeah.
Okay. Yeah, I don't see it. I just see you. So I don't know if Skype has that ability or not. I would imagine it does, but I'm not familiar with mobile Skype.
You know, Chris is a professional filmographer, yeah?
Yes, and these the documentaries are absolutely beautiful, and that's one of the really incredible parts of it is that you guys have gone to such painstaking lengths to not only capture what you're doing, but capture this natural beauty and stuff. Because I think when people hear Ireland, they think, well, it's mostly agriculture and farmlands and you know these grassy plains, but you actually have a pretty substantial amount of woodlands around there, which is really incredible.
Yeah. We have a population of tipping on 5.5 million, but you could say a third of the population is actually living in Dublin itself. Oh. And you'll have probably 3 to 4 major cities then. You'll have Galway, Limerick, Cork, and probably over towards Waterford, which hold a high population also. All the rest is sparsely populated, like. So there is a lot of area that is uninhabited, you know, and there's an awful lot of woodland too, which goes from like down in the lower belt, going up central, right up through Ireland, right up into the north of Ireland and out towards, say, Donegal and back over towards, say, Belfast, which is on the other side of Ireland. And it's just miles and miles of forest connected.
Sure.
And a major river runs up through the country also.
Oh, okay. Gotcha. Wow. So Chris, can you just turn your phone around to show us?
I don't think so, no.
I mean,
just having
like by aiming that camera outward?
Yeah. You can probably do that, yeah. What was that? What was that question again, Brad? That one of your guests.
The various the various names for the Bigfoot in Ireland.
Oh yeah. Well, the general name is Wildman, so that's why the documentary is called "Walking with the Wildman." So that is the bog standard name across many traditions on the island. The other spellings of that, or the other pronunciations of that, or translations would be the Woodawaza, which is the same as the Woodwoose.
Okay.
It's also Woodwose. It's all just different, all sort of different pronunciations, really. Other names besides that would have been the Puka, which is some believe to be a different creature. I personally don't buy that one. I think it's just a name for the Irish Bigfoot. And many other ones, just the same as the States and Canada. Sure. There's literally hundreds of different names across Europe for the same thing, you know.
Yeah, I remember that during the second documentary, you had introduced me to the name Grogach or something like that.
Yeah, even that has, you know, is Grogach and Graka. There's different pronunciations of that as well, you know. So it's like I say, just like North America, it's exactly the same here. There's literally tons of different names.
Yeah, and they're very regional, and I think that it's, you know, that's kind of the amazing part of this phenomena is that every region had their own name for these things, and wildman is a name that you hear in old America a lot as well, that people see these wildman and stuff. And I think people kind of thought these were just regional phenomena, but once there was a unifying term like Bigfoot or Sasquatch, and people are like, wait, we got those here, but we call them this. And suddenly it became apparent how widespread this phenomena was.
Yeah, the wildman would be the most common one, say, in Ireland and the British Isles as well. Like if you just put it into Google, wildman, what will come up is a really tall man covered in hair with a club. You know, like a wooden club, like a caveman.
Sure.
that's your common depiction of a wild man, say through history, and there would be the old drawings as well that you'd see coming out of over in Britain as well and Ireland.
Okay. One more question from the chat is, and I'm not sure what this means necessarily, but I'm going to ask it and see if this is makes sense to you. And no offense to the question, I'm just not sure I understand it. It's from Woodson Creek. Hey Brent, will you ask your guests what is the etiquette for a Bigfoot encounter? I don't know. What would you guys say? Do you have an etiquette or established procedures for it?
Well, I mean, if you're going to go out and try and get a Bigfoot encounter, I mean, there's ways that you can do that. Okay. But I mean, anything that I've witnessed, it just doesn't happen like that. It happens on their terms, not on ours. So that's one thing that I would keep in mind. But Ron, you were about to say something there too, Ron. Sorry.
Yeah, like my experiences have been that we've hit areas. I mean, we've happened upon them. Say, like, especially in the second documentary, we picked an area that we were going to. We went there and we were bang in the middle of it. Whereas what I see with Chris, even in the area that he's in now, like he could be walking along and he might let off a whistle. Nothing will happen. Another time, you might hear a whistle. They'll interact when they want to. We used to go out the odd time. We rarely do knocks anyway. We hardly ever do a knock on a tree. We did it once or twice during filming, but on the whole, no. I don't believe in it neither. I think they're telling each other basically that humans are about. So when you rock up, you start banging a tree, you're letting them know you're there, not that they don't know already. But I think you just most interactions happen with people just out for a walk, right? Not when you're going looking for it, you know.
Mm-hmm.
At the moment now, guys, I'm at the exact spot now where I actually had my best ever encounter, and I've never actually shared this one publicly before. It's been shared with guys in the I.B.R.O. It's probably been shared with yourself maybe before, Brent, and other researchers across the world maybe, but I have never really talked about it publicly before. But this is probably my clearest ever sighting, and on this very rampart that I'm on. To look at these old ramparts, you would think that they're old railroads, but are old, like, tiny railroads for digging out peat, but they actually aren't. They were built up for digging peat, but not for railroads. But they're actually built so well, you would think that. But I was just at this spot here now. I just turned this corner. See if I can turn this camera around. I thought Skype would have had a system the same as Facebook or WhatsApp where you can switch the camera, but obviously not. But I had just turned this corner here and headed down here a little bit. Now, it has changed slightly here from that. This was January 2021. It was 2 years ago. It was the 21st of January 2021 when it happened. I'll never forget that date. Easy enough anyway. So it was 21/01/21. So easy date to remember. But I got to about here, and it just crossed the trail, just about that tree. Anyway, so you can get a brighter light on. Let me see. Brighter light here. There we go. That is a fantastic light. So I'm not sure why you guys can see this or not. I'm trying my best to get it.
Yep, can see it.
But that tree down there, just on the other side of that tree, I was here. It crossed over. It was 9 to 10 foot tall. It was absolutely huge. And it just came from over here, obviously, and when I crossed over there, and it was quite a drop on each side of these ramparts. So, you know, it was about a 4 feet, 5 feet drop, roughly, at least 4 anyway, on this side, and I sort of stepped down with ease, where, you know, us guys would have had to basically jump off that to get down, because it's quite steep. But this thing actually just stepped over and just walked on back into the woods. You know, and it didn't even acknowledge me. It didn't look at me. Nothing. Just walked straight across. I'm not actually sure. Maybe I'd thought that maybe I actually hadn't seen it, but unfortunately for him, I did see it, and that was the first full bodily view of a Bigfoot that I got. I had other encounters before that one night, but that was the pinnacle, probably. You know.
Yeah, that's incredible, and that's got to be intimidating as all get out, especially like now you're out there alone. I mean, it's just you're really, being that we don't know much about these things, I would just feel like you're walking on a razor's edge. You know, like at any moment, things could just turn sad. But are there any reports from Ireland or in the area of these things being aggressive, or are they just mostly intimidating people?
I've got one there now, Brent. There was a couple of years back, there was an old gentleman driving his car in Northern Ireland on one of the back roads, and he came across this figure on the bank, and it basically came out in front of his car in the middle of the road and got pretty much, aggressive, got very aggressive, and the old man had to reverse the whole way up the road while this creature was advancing slowly on him. But that was one. There's I wouldn't say more aggressive one. There's another one there that another guy driving through a bog road or a swamp road had what he said was a small juvenile squatch on all fours, which we recreated in part 2 of the series. Basically crossed the road in front of him and it scared the life out of him. But on part 3, Brent, as you probably know, my Class A sighting, which I had, I'll just tell the folks, we were filming away, and I, as all the guys know, I'm an avid deer hunter, and I knew this area, where we were looking earlier on, was a big open area by about 400 yards, by about 150 yards, maybe 200 yards, a bit of a valley. So I had gone ahead. It was time of the day it was just getting dark. You could still see pretty far, but it was dusky. I went up and I sneaked up to the top of the hill, and I had my high-powered laser with me, and I shone the laser in. I couldn't see any deer, but I seen on the left-hand side this tree, and what I thought was a massive big clump of ivy on the side of it. When I put the laser on it, in about half a second, it just dropped. Once it dropped, it had it was black figure, definitely a humanoid figure. Shoulders were minimum 4 feet across, but it had a small head and no shoulders. I was stunned, to say the least, but it wasn't caught on camera, but the actual, my reaction, and Ron advanced up and had a look as well, so it's caught on that. So it will stick with me for forever, as far as I know. It's 100% know what I saw, and people can say what they want, but I know what I saw, and it was definitely what it was,
Now, just for clarification, you said I was stoned. That's a regional figure of speech. That's not like you were hitting a pipe or something, right?
Stunned. Stunned.
Stunned. Okay, sorry. That's my. Sorry.
Yeah. Not stoned.
My Midwestern ears in America, I couldn't catch that, but I was like, well, we better make sure to explain that. Stunned. Okay. Yeah, I think that's fantastic. There's another question from Blarkey, but I think anybody that's seen these documentaries will know. There's, of course, 3 of them now. There's Walking with the Wild Man, then there's the Woodwose, Walking with the Wild Man 2, and now the newest one that's available on Amazon Prime is European Bigfoot, Walking with the Wild Man 3. But Blarkey asks, is there any forest left in Ireland? And go ahead and field that if you'd like.
Yeah, Chris.
Yeah, there's a lot of forest, especially in the west, and the northwest especially, but some big areas in the southwest and the midwest as well. The southeast, is basically all farmland. So anywhere from Wicklow up through Dublin, apart from the Wicklow Mountains now, of course, there's plenty of areas around the Wicklow Mountains below Dublin. But anything else really above Dublin there is all farmland. But of course, once you hit the northern counties, then you start to hit more areas as well. So we've got areas there in the northeast, and a lot of bogs, like I'm in now, in the central part of the north. But yeah, we've got a lot of forest. Some of the areas goes on for like a long way. I mean, if you take the area that sort of starts on the South County Tyrone and North Monaghan border, it sort of starts there and heads its way across the sort of central northern part and bends up into Donegal. So it just, it's a massive area there. And a lot of activity has been happened there. And of course, the last part of our second documentary was shot in the Big Dog area, and the entirety of part 3 was shot in that area too, and it never ceases to fail, So yeah, a lot of woods, a lot of old bogland as well, a lot of plantations as well, but it all attracts these creatures. It doesn't stop them, And of course, another false perception there, by the way, too. People tend to think that you have to have a forest to have a Bigfoot. You don't have to have a forest to have a Bigfoot. There's thousands of sightings across the world, across North America, across Australia, across Russia, and here as well. Europe, where Bigfoots have been seen casually walking across fields. You know what I mean? A forest is not necessary for a Bigfoot. One report that sticks in my mind is one in the south of England, where a traveller was on a train somewhere in around Bristol somewhere, and or just below Bristol, maybe towards the moors down there, and the train was travelling along, and this person looked out the window and thought what the seen was a cow walking along the side of a hedge, but then the cow stood up and turned directly and looked directly at this person. Whether that was a direct connection there, I don't know what happened, but it stood up, and it clearly wasn't a cow; it was a Bigfoot.
Wow. Yeah.
If you notice across the world, not just in Ireland, but it's all over. But I have noticed there's little small patches of woods dotted across the landscape, and that's where I found a lot of evidence. And these little tiny bunches of woods, no bigger than your normal field. You know what I mean? Mm-hmm. It's unbelievable. You can walk into a huge forest and get no activity.
Oh, we got a leg spike or something there.
Yeah,
and get activity.
There we go.
Yeah, and find evidence, get activity straight away.
Yep.
So I mean, it doesn't take a forest to have a Bigfoot. It does help, but it doesn't take it.
Yeah. Okay. Now we got some, actually quite a few questions are coming in. Rachel Gets It Right, one of our mods, says, do you think the wild men use waterways, rivers, creeks to travel from forest to forest between populated areas?
100%. I believe 100% that they do. We've come across bends and arches that we think that they're pointing in the direction and bent in the direction of waterways. Mm-hmm. Just our experience that we've come across. Ron has come across a good few, and so has Chris. But that's what we believe, that they lead to waterways.
Okay. All right. Thank you. And someone else, I'm trying to find the question now. Someone asked about, let's see. There was something about, is there a lot of caves or sinkholes in Ireland? Do you have a lot of subterranean caverns and such throughout the landscape there?
That'd be down Ron's way.
Over on the west coast, it's called I.B.R.O. So it's basically maybe 2/3 of County Clare. It's just all rock area. and there's loads of cave systems there. I actually have a report from there, a sighting, like going across the road there from 12 years ago, and a lot more other stuff as well. It's a mystical area. It's a lot of weird stories come out of there. Paranormal, ghosts, UFOs. I've got a lot of information from there. I have a mole inside there, basically, more or less, and he's had a lot of experiences, and he's actually seen a across the road sighting of one while he was driving back home one night. It basically cleared 6-foot wall on one side of the road, and I'm not too sure, but 3 or 4 strides, and just cleared the 6-foot wall over the other side. He maintains it was between 6 and 7 foot tall, long brown with a bit of grey hair going through it, and he had no interest in the subject whatsoever. But he thought it was like an alien or a ghost, but he'd be more in the lines of the mythical side of it, so like a puka or a groga. That's what he presumed it was. So the west coast of Ireland has multiple cave systems there, but not in the terms of what you have in the US with coal mining or whatever like that, but smaller cave systems through irrigation from water, basically.
Okay, and Android Paranormal is asking, since they have reports of Sasquatch does not need forest, do they believe it's possibly not a biological creature from our dimension?
Well, we all have our own beliefs in those things, and everyone's entitled to their own belief, of course. But whenever I say you don't need a forest for a Bigfoot, you do need to have a certain amount of forest there.
Yeah.
Do you know what I mean? Whenever I say you don't need to have a Bigfoot or you don't need to have a forest for a Bigfoot. Sorry, that's obviously entailed at a sighting or an encounter, But obviously these things do live in the woods. But what I'm saying is, there's loads of broken woods, like I said before, right across the country here. It's the same in North America too. And if you get on to Google Earth and have a look around Google Earth, there's actually little, more or less like what would you call it? Like routes, of
Sure.
all these woods connecting each other. And I've seen it here too. I've looked at it right across North America as well. And all these little routes, like more or less like byways or highways for Bigfoot, really. And along rivers, along railroads, just little patches of woods going on for miles. Maybe just broken by a road here and there, and leading from one big area to another big area. I personally think they take advantage of all of that. They use all these routes, or routes as you guys call them. They use riverways, railroads, and all these little broken woods across the country is all taken into use for them traveling to wherever they want to go. I have seen evidence of that myself in certain areas. And one of the sightings that Jim mentioned a little while back of the older guy who had this sort of slightly aggressive Bigfoot coming towards his car, that was directly on a river route. It was nowhere near a major forest. It was probably, at least 30 miles from the nearest big area. But yet again, it was a river route with broken woods right along that river. So, yeah. So that's my belief on it. But definitely, you don't need to have big areas for a Bigfoot.
Sure.
On the interdimensional stuff, who knows? I mean,
Yeah.
we're no experts. I'm not an expert. Jim's not an expert. Ron's not an expert. The guy asking the question is not an expert. We're all on exactly the same boat. My personal belief is that they're flesh and blood. I've had friends in the Bigfoot community who would say the opposite of that. They would say interdimensional, and they're close colleagues, close friends that I've had over the years, on both sides of the pond. So I'm no expert. I can't say that they're interdimensional. I can't say that they're flesh and blood. It's just my personal belief that they are flesh and blood. That's all.
Sure. No, that's a great take, and yeah, nobody is an expert. We have a question from K-Love in our chat, and this is one that occurred to me as well. Of course, I think we're all familiar with David Paulides' work and such, and the possibility, or at least the possibility, I guess is the best word, that there could be Bigfoot involved with this. But are there cases of missing people in areas where you guys are having a lot of sightings?
There is one case that we have here. There was a guy a couple of years ago, a really, an expert at mountain biking. He was mountain biking in the Wicklow Mountains, and he allegedly had a fall from his bike. He was basically smashed up and pretty badly and killed, but his bike was also pulverized, so you don't get that from a little fall off a bike. So, it was sort of half covered up as well.
Yikes. That is absolutely frightening.
Yeah.
I've
heard a few reports from the UK of certain areas where articles like boots and bags have been found by people, say in certain areas where there have been reports. And, it's like, how would you call it? You heard the term of a boneyard, basically like a kill area, say what you have in the States. Well, a person came across an area in the UK where it wasn't exactly a boneyard, but there was actually articles that were found from, say, hikers, like jackets, hats, gloves, but all different things, but they weren't broken up. It's like as if they were gathered up, but in certain areas of the woods. But there's a lot, like the UK has a higher population than Ireland, so you could have a lot more missing people in the UK that will go unaccounted than you would here. But other than that, besides Jim's one, I haven't heard of much, myself.
Yeah, that's absolutely frightening, and it's certainly a possibility. Again, there are no experts, and somebody said actually there are people approximating experts. Will Jevening is one. I would disagree completely. No offense, but until we have the ability to actively study these things in a controlled environment, there can't be experts because we don't know much except for the fact that we find tracks, we find maybe even hair samples. We have anecdotal evidence of people's experiences, which gives us a behavior profile, but we really don't know much of anything about these things other than they're out there and people are seeing and experiencing them. But, to each his own. I just don't really like the term expert because it implies that somebody has an exhaustive working knowledge of the subject, and certainly there is nothing approximating that, in my opinion, in this field or, in such. But I just wanted to address that a little bit. So now, guys, this is the third installment, European Bigfoot Walking with the Wild Man 3. It's available now on Amazon Prime for those of you out there that want to rent it and check it out. I strongly recommend it, not only because I'm also involved, but I just know the passion these guys have put into this project is just incredible. This has really been an evolution of efforts and approaches for you guys. Any one of you can address this how you wish, but how has this evolved for you throughout the three films? What have you learned? What are you? How is your approach being modified? Anyone can field this, whoever chooses to.
Chris?
Yeah, well, I suppose I've learned a lot more. Obviously I've been an avid squatcher for a while before that, like I said earlier, but obviously getting out to other areas that maybe I wouldn't have maybe ventured to did open new opportunities and new experiences and all those sort of things. The thing probably the most was hearing about all the stories and the witness encounters that we showed. The unfortunate thing about this part of the world, a lot of witnesses, people in Ireland are generally very, very humble and very, very quiet people, and very shy when it comes to talking about these sorts of things. And nobody wanted to go on camera. Unfortunately, that's just the way people are here, and I can see their point. People will talk, they will contact us and all those sorts of things, but they're very, very shy people here, and that did have an impact. And of course, it does have an impact on us getting new encounters coming in too, because people are very, very weary about doing that. But overall, like I said, getting out to those new areas that I definitely wouldn't probably have ventured to myself, and seeing the evidence there for myself too. And the thing that sticks out in my mind from part one is those prints in the snow. Was amazing to see that, and of course everything else came in from there. Jim's own encounter that he had during filming part 3, which is featured in the new documentary, and then of course the I.B.R.O that we got in part 1, and the I.B.R.O captured in part 2, where it actually shows you the face of a Bigfoot, what we presume to be a Bigfoot. Is it a Bigfoot? Is it a interdimensional being like we just chatted about? Who knows? We just don't know. But certainly it's a face and the eyes of some sort of creature, which I presume to be a Bigfoot. But yeah, it's been a long, long journey, Brent, across the 3 films. We started making part 1 in early 2019, so we just literally wrapped part 3 there in November, and it came out in December. And it's been a long journey. This is 19, 20, 21, 22, 20, almost 4 years, 4 solid years of squatching to get there. We did have an interruption with COVID, obviously, especially the first lockdown for a few months, so we done nothing then. But apart from that, it's been a long and enjoyable journey for me, anyway.
I believe that we started off rough and ready, as they say at the start, the first one. And I do personally believe that the documentaries got better and better. The third one is fantastic. It really is now, compared to, we pull out all the stops, the ideas we have, the new ideas that we tried between the threads and the gifting and stuff like that. But yeah, it's been a roller coaster ride. We've learned a lot from each other, from what we've done, and we know we got on film. Can't be denied what we have. It's there for everyone to see.
Yeah, it's been incredible, and I'm thrilled to be a part of it, obviously, but I mean, just the effort and love and the passion you guys put into the projects is just readily apparent. Your willingness to go out there and mostly standing in, you guys get rained on an awful lot, which is I guess a time or a sign of where you are. But
yeah,
I think it just takes a whole lot of love and dedication in order to produce something like it. It's a beautiful film. The third one, especially the second one, was glorious. The first one was just ambitious and amazing all on its own, because you just decided to throw yourselves into your passions and bring it to everybody else that doesn't have the ability to be there with you. So it's been an incredible journey. I just think, I think that in order to do something like this, it's got to take a lot of your blood, sweat, and tears, and certainly a lot of people are out there doing these kind of things, and I think the more information that's out there, the better for all of us, and the more research that is being done for all of us, because it certainly enhances the body of knowledge, or the body of effort to pursue the truth on this. What would your takeaway be, Ron, on being involved with 2 of the films, Woodwose and, again, European Bigfoot? How's the journey been for you?
As I said before, I'm kind of more of a practical person. I like to see what's kind of in front of me and what I experience, and I try not to get influenced. the guys, when they did their first documentary, like they got the footprints in the snow. What the guys never told you tonight was that we went back to that location again for filming. I think it was a year and a half later, and I left early because I had a longer journey, but the two guys stayed on. The two guys got hit with infrasound. They heard, I think it was a knock or a grunt or something from up on the ridge above them, which was on the opposite side of where they actually got the prints in the snow. They got hit with infrasound, and that was Chris's second time getting that. He got it in another area a couple of months previous, and he said it was a similar thing. On their first documentary, they actually got a grunt that was recorded on video. I think one of the guys was dressing up to do a recreation, and you can actually hear a massive grunt on sound. So when the guy showed me that, I was sucked in straight away. As I said, what we got on film, them from the next two documentaries, just had a snowballing effect for me. I know it's hard for some people to believe it, but I have no explanation. I don't have any other reason to think that it's something else, like what's 8 foot tall or 10 foot tall that sways behind a tree with eye shine. What has an 18-inch footprint in the snow with 5 toes. We actually have footprints of where Chris is tonight, of a 16-inch track or a 14-inch track, I think, with 4 toes. But we don't have a 3-foot print. We have a 4 foot and a 5 foot, which makes us believe that we have actually woodgrouse and an Irish Bigfoot, or what they have in the north of Britain as what's commonly known as the grey man, which is a larger Bigfoot, basically. Just on the subject of where I am now, I'm looking at obviously the reports from Ireland and what we have here the last 5-6 years, and I've actually got my hands on a book from reports from the UK from 2018 to 2020. Literally 13 reports from people in the same area, which is called Cannock Chase, which is very popular in the Bigfoot community in the UK. And I'm currently reading the book there of people's sightings there. I'm just reading what's in front of me and taking the evidence in of what I have. I'm open to questions on that.
Sure.
Just as you said that there, Ron, about part one, about the grunt being captured on the sound. Then I look back, so I'm being honest with you, I haven't actually watched part 1 in 3 years now. So I do, obviously the eye sticks out, and that always stuck in my mind. But was there not some sort of a voice captured on the sound too, Jim, or something at the end of it? Was there a voice captured? Or
Something like, it sounded like someone said, hello, in a deep voice. During filming.
Yeah,
that was. But getting to the infrasound thing, Chris, that was me and you. We were finishing up filming the end of part 2, and all we had to do was 5 words, and we couldn't. The two of us were there for, I think we were there for half an hour, maybe an hour, trying to get 5 words on camera, and we couldn't. I don't know what happened to us. I remember going home that night, and I was very, very ill. I was going to bed, and you said you were the same. So definitely something hit us and affected both of us that night.
Well,
definitely, yeah. That sticks out. Yeah, definitely.
Yeah, what you guys are doing is just incredible, and it's just again, it's beautifully shot as well. So I mean, it really does give you an idea of the varied environments that you guys are exposed to, where these things are happening. I know you went to locations where several times throughout the course of these films where sightings had happened and reviewed them and gone over them. So, I mean, it's just a really incredible journey through the 3 films. But the third one I thought it is amazing. And I'm just so thrilled you guys are here with me today in order to talk about all the work you guys are doing. Was there anything else that you guys wanted to say in closing? Yes, of course I'll drop a link to the documentary in the chat here. But yeah, please guys, any closing thoughts?
We just want to thank you, Brent, for coming on board with us and on this amazing journey. It wouldn't be the same without your commentary. It just makes the whole documentary. Really does.
Can I just stop you there for 1 second, guys? Because I just spotted a tree break over there. Now, because Skype don't do the same as other platforms do, I might not be able to. Can you see that? Tree break over there?
Oh yeah, it's laying down. It's low. It's about 4 feet up and then broke.
Yeah.
Wow.
That's out in the bog. That's out in the bog now. So there's no trail or nothing around here. I'm on the trail here, so that's out in the bog. And there's probably about 3 foot of water down there as well, roughly. So
does that look like a weathered log, or does it look like it was rather fresh, or can you tell? It's hard to see from the image.
Hard to see from here, but it's clearly snapped. Yeah, but I'm not going to walk through 3 feet of water to find out. But it certainly is snapped, yeah. But it could be a dead tree. It could be, because there's a lot of dead trees about here too. So it may not be something. It may be something. Who knows?
Yeah, I mean that's that's the beauty of your locations, because as you guys have said throughout the course of our discussion today, you don't have big fauna around there outside of deer, and so like deer is about it, and anything north of a deer is anomalous, right?
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Plus, we don't have any like you guys have at nighttime. Those crickets that make all that racket and noise. We don't have that over here. When we go out at nighttime, it's deathly quiet, not a sound to be heard.
We can bring some over for you if you need some. Make some nice ambiance for you guys. No, that's really amazing. Gentlemen, it's been an absolute pleasure having you guys here, and I'm honored that you chose to come on and talk with us and explain some of the background, some of the behind the scenes, your personal journeys, as well as this. Again, the link is in the chat, ladies and gentlemen. It's also in the show description of European Bigfoot Walking with the Wild Man 3. It's available on Amazon Prime Video now. Any last thoughts, gentlemen, before we're all through?
I just said thanks to your listeners for the questions. They're, at least they're straightforward and good. Like, they're thought provoking as well. So you have a good listener group there anyway.
Yeah, and a lot of people have showed up, and I'm sorry if I missed questions. I did the best I could, guys. For those of you in the chat room, thank you so much. And Chris, Jim, and Ron, you guys are amazing. I'm just thrilled again to be a part of the family, and I'm thrilled that you came on today to talk about all of this. And I want to thank all of you guys in the chat for coming out and being a part of the journey as well. And for those of you that watch it, when it's not live, please like the video. Please share this around to your social media so that other people can become aware of our, not only the discussion we had, but of course the documentary series that these guys have painstakingly put together, and it's available on Amazon Prime. So, gentlemen, thank you so much for being here and for taking the time. It's been an absolute pleasure.
Can I just add one thing, Brad, just before you close, if you don't mind?
No, by all means.
Yeah, it's just if anybody in Ireland is watching tonight, if you want to come forward and share your stories or encounters with us, don't be afraid to do that. You can contact us on our Facebook page, our Bigfoot Research Organisation. Your information that you give or your encounters that you share with us will be totally confidential. We will not post them online. We'll not unless we can put them on our map that we have on our page or on our group if you want, but we don't have to include names or stuff like that. But certainly, we don't have to do that even if you don't want to. But most people generally do that. That's why we've got a good map full of encounters on our page. But of course, everything is confidential. Don't be afraid of coming forward, because you are not the only one who've had an encounter. Just keep that in mind, that you're not the only one who's had an encounter. I've had an encounter. Jim's had encounters. Ron's had encounters, and hundreds of other people across this island have had encounters as well. So don't be afraid to come forward, guys.
Absolutely. So, ladies and gentlemen, again, look for the Irish Bigfoot Research Organization on Facebook, and check out Amazon Prime Video for the documentary series. All 3 films are there, part 1, part 2, and part 3. So you can make a weekend of it. But ladies and gentlemen, thank you so much. Ron, Jim, and Chris, will you stick around just for a few minutes after I close the show here? All right, everybody.
Absolutely. Yeah.
Okay, that's going to wrap up our journey for today and our special Sunday show talking with the Irish Bigfoot Research Organization. Please check out European Bigfoot Walking with the Wild Man 3 on Amazon Prime Video. Make sure to hit the like. If you're not subscribed, please get subscribed. Love to have you be part of the family. And just remember, guys, we love you, and we'll see you on the next show. Until then, take care.